someone was talking about, like they have a Google form that they'll have someone fill out, so like if they go on their website and they say, yeah, I'm an accredited investor, it automatically send them this form that asks them specific questions. And if they fill that out, then, they consider them an investor, even though like they won't have a conversation with them. And I wondered, is that a pre-existing relationship? I do know these things. Like, okay, I know,
Mhm.
maybe they've invested passively before, or, they have this net worth, or, whatever. But I've never had a conversation with them. Is that okay?
So, the SEC does not really come out and say, okay, like these are the steps you have to take to
Okay.
make sure that you have a pre-existing relationship with your investors, right? They will put out guidance, but it really is a very gray area. And so I tell people, you know, um, if you're going to operate in the gray, you kind of want to make sure you're, not quite in the middle, but towards, somewhere that's a little bit safer. So, if it's just a little extra work to go and, at least have a 5-10 minute conversation with one of these investors, I would say, why not? Right. And
Yeah.
and honestly, it's not that hard because let's say, you know, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to real estate syndication, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? The most important thing is that you establish trust with your investors. And trust is a very personal thing. If you're just going to willy-nilly take, capital from people you've never had a conversation with, I just don't think that's generally a great idea. Like you definitely want that personal rapport. So even if it's not like a legal requirement, it's something you kind of want to do anyway.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And one other question about that. What about referrals? So let's say I put an offering out. Okay. So now all of a sudden, anybody that invests in this deal, I had to have a pre-existing relationship with, right? But well, let's say, a current investor sends that to a friend of theirs. And then now that person wants to invest in that offering, in that deal. Is that, I mean, I've never met that person before, but I had heard reference before, like, you can base it off the individual that you do know, and their history with that person. But I don't know. I just felt a little uneasy about that.
Right. So for broker dealers, they can do that and they can present an offering to someone that the issuer, has not had a pre-existing relationship with ever, right? And just sell that deal to them. When it comes to the issuer, I mean, this happens all the time in the investment industry. It's like, so and so is making a great return. And they tell their friends about it and their friends are like, oh, can you connect me with that person? I want to invest too, right? So you definitely can do that, but and of course, you should consult your attorney and how you do it. Uh, you should talk to your attorney about, but generally you can do that. And it happens all the time. I would just say, there's some ways that it shouldn't happen. Like, obviously you shouldn't go in front of a room of people and just try and start selling your offering, right? But if it's like through a friend of a friend or whatever, when they get referred over, you should try and establish a pre-existing relationship with them then.